Tired of doom scrolling? Time for a dose of awesome. 5 Good News Stories is your happy place, where underdogs become champions, crossing guards become legends, and impossible dreams come true. We're serving up 5 fresh reasons to believe in humanity. From world records to cute animal stories to that guy who turned his pizza shop into a homeless shelter. These are the stories that'll make you go, wait, what? That's amazing! Ready for your good news fix? Follow 5 Good News Stories wherever you get your podcasts, because let's face it, we could all use more awesome in our lives. The number 5 Good News Stories.
It is the world's most secretive election. When a pope dies, ancient traditions begin. A silver hammer, a destroyed ring, over 100 cardinals locked away from the world, choosing the next leader of 1 billion faithful. White smoke. The path to a new pope, from Kalaroga Shark Media, wherever you get your podcasts.
Kalaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with a very busy daily comedy news. Bill Burr's new special is out today, but let's talk about John Mulaney. Oh boy, where to start? I'm trying not to come out of the box super negative, but I made it 10 minutes in. Can we all agree it wasn't great? I know I'm going to be swimming uphill here. I know people are going to be like, John Mulaney's wonderful. But was it? I was on social media during the show and people were not saying awesome things. It was fine. And I think it really illustrates the first series, the Everybody's in LA series. When you do it in the middle of the Netflix comedy special and you can have Jerry Seinfeld sitting on the couch for whatever else is going on, or, somebody of that ilk comes by, it makes the show a lot easier. I felt it was like, I compared it to a baseball game where you're watching the first inning and you're like, oh, our pitcher doesn't have his best fastball today. And I'm like, Mulaney does not have his fastball tonight. I feel like he got by on he's John Mulaney. Now, I've been in media for 30 years. Everybody's first show, if you want to call this the first show or the 7th show, whatever. But, things get better over time. So I'm not kicking a can and going, cancel this thing, it's terrible. But it wasn't great. I went through the reviews. I feel like most of the reviews were 2/3 written before the show even aired, comparing it to the LA series, and then they filled in, oh yeah, and Joan Baez said something. I feel like, because this thing was at 10 Eastern and a lot of the media is on the East Coast, myself included, so I feel like they were written early. I mentioned, it's a lot easier when you have Jerry sitting there. The New York Times wrote, how are the guests? Their answer, Mulaney's format can lead to awkwardness among the panelists if the conversation doesn't flow freely at first. That seemed to be the case with Michael Keaton telling a meandering story about going to Benihana. Joan Baez's anecdote about the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King telling dirty jokes was much more entertaining, though she wouldn't repeat any of them. Men's Health had the headline, people are roasting John Mulaney's new Netflix show as cringe and boring, one user wrote on Twitter. John Mulaney is one of, if not the funniest comedians, and yet somehow his Netflix talk show sucks. Another user said, it's extraordinarily boring. Most of the pickup went to Joan Baez. She said to John Mulaney, you could say I could say anything I want out here. We're all here to be silly and have fun, and as long as we recognize the fact that our democracy is going up in flames, we're being run by a bunch of really incompetent billionaires. She didn't mention the billionaires by name, but people had some good guesses. Joan said she once owned a Tesla and said, I hated that thing. I thought I was supposed to like it, so I drove off in it. Within 45 minutes, I smashed it into an oak tree on my property. I was thinking, that's a sign. So in my opinion, and it might be an unpopular opinion, rough start for John Mulaney. Bill Burr is on Hilarious tonight. Hi, Hulu publicists. How you guys doing? It is called Drop Dead Years. I've talked about this week. You're probably seeing the PR campaign for establishment Bill Burr, so we'll see what the special brings. Are we going to get, quote, the old Bill Burr, or is there some new version? We'll find out today. Bill did a notable interview on the Fresh Air NPR show. It's out as a podcast. I haven't had a chance to put ears on it yet. I'm so behind on my listening. This is what happens because it gets cold. When it's warm, I go out and I'll run for an hour and I listen to things at 2.2 speed so I can get through a lot of stuff. Plus I have to walk up the hill to get home and, it winds up being an hour and a half. I can get through a lot of pods. But my kids are grown now. I'm not sitting in the parking lot at soccer practice, and I'm not driving 2 hours to tournaments, so I have to get my listening in. Anyway, you don't care about that. Bill Burr said, I'm trying to get regular people to stop yelling at each other and realize that it's a select few group of nerds eating raw almonds, doing their stupid workouts, competing with each other to have the biggest infinity pool, and the rest of us are getting pushed down. Is Bill making it sound like he has a part-time job? Hold on. I want to know where Bill Burr lives. Google. I don't know where Bill Burr lives right now, but I found an article from 2018, December 31st, 2018, Variety, with the headline, Stand-up comedian Bill Burr sells Mediterranean Villa in Los Feliz. Bill purchased the property in 2011 for $1.08 million. The 1923 Mediterranean Villa offers 3 and potentially 4 bedrooms and 3 vintage bathrooms in 2,600 plus square feet. This article does not mention a pool. It also tells us, though, Burr maintains a modest 1-bedroom and 1-bathroom co-op on a high floor of a well-maintained but otherwise unremarkable 100-plus-year-old low-rise red brick building a couple blocks west of the northern terminus of Times Square. So he does have a 1-bedroom above a bodega in New York. That's what maybe, I don't know, maybe that's just where he's living in a 1-bedroom apartment in New York City on the west side. Also, back in 2018, Variety reported that they had bought a place in L.A. with a $4.7 million purchase of almost 4,900 square feet. It's unclear if that place has a pool. I have totally digressed, but, Bill saying that we're competing with each other to have the biggest infinity pool and the rest of us are getting pushed down. Bill, you're not part of the rest of us. I'm sorry, dude. You're just not. You were, but you're not. Congratulations. You were successful. It's okay. I'm trying to be successful. I'm going to get a big house with an infinity pool when this podcast takes off. I'm going to have 3 places in LA. I'm not hating on you. I'm just saying, let's not act like you're just scraping by, Bill, as the rest of us are getting pushed down. They politicized the whole stupid thing and we're falling for it. I guess he's saying he's not a multi-billionaire. And I like Bill Burr. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on Bill Burr. A lot of press this week. Burr found an easy target in Elon Musk. He said, I just refuse to believe that his hand salute was an accidental 2-time Sieg Heil. And he does it at a presidential inauguration. This is why I hate liberals. Liberals have no teeth whatsoever. They just go, oh my God, can you believe this? I'm getting out of the country. And he said that, I think, before Rosie O'Donnell left the country. I'm not even going to talk about that one. I'm just like, you're just going to leave the country because of one guy with dyed hair plugs and a laminated face who makes a bad car and has an obsolete social media platform? Why doesn't he leave? Why are we so afraid of this guy? He can't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. Variety was curious why Bill filmed Drop Dead Years in Seattle. Bill said, if I've done a show there before in a city, how much I love a city, and I feel like there's going to be a good amount of pushback from the crowd. When we're filming a stand-up special, there's cameras there, so people tend to be a little more agreeable, and I need that push-pull thing to happen. I don't want to be in an echo chamber. I'd rather have it more hostile than agreeable. Variety asked, have you found that hostility more in liberal cities? Burr, no, because I adjust my a-hole vibe to whatever kind of state I'm in. If I'm in a conservative place, I go more liberal. If I'm in a liberal place, I'll go more conservative. It's like trying to make an over-medium egg, There's an art to it. I don't like it if I say something, everybody goes, yeah, it's one side, everything is sides now. So I have to make sure if one side gets too excited that I'm agreeing with them, that I trash them, or maybe I trash myself. Political views are something you don't ram down people's throats. And I go over that double line a lot. Sometimes I'm here, sometimes I'm over there. Depends what you're talking about. He talked about Clapter, spoiler for the special. Okay, minor spoiler, it's not going to ruin the special. At one point, Bill says, I've been married for 11 years, and the audience goes, woo! Bill says, it's like I could have chained her to a radiator. What are you doing? I'm doing that for comedic effect. And I also don't like that sound. I'd rather you say something mean to me in a loving way than something genuine in a complimentary way. I don't know what to do with that. But if you tell me, hey, a-hole, you're pretty funny tonight, that means a lot to me. If you're like, life goes by so fast and I really want to make sure I take time, I'm like, oh, God, stop talking like that. It's creeping me out. Here's a question that's been coming up a lot lately with the established comedians. I'm not hating on the question. It's a good question. It's an interesting question. Bill, do you ever still bomb? Burr said, I do, but I know how to bomb gracefully. I'm like an old fighter that knows how to take a punch, so I still lose the fight, but I don't get knocked out. The key to bombing gracefully? Composure. You have to maintain control even when you're bombing, and you have to make fun of yourself. Last week, I had a benefit on Tuesday, so I was working out my set at the Comedy Store, and I had no segues. I was owning up to the fact that my act wasn't there yet. There's a reason they're coming to see me in the original room on Sunday night, but people come out to see on those nights. They're very forgiving. They like to watch the process, and they're entertained watching somebody they've seen do well struggle a little bit. Bill says the store is one of his favorite places to work out new material. I also like a lot of the satellite rooms that the younger comics are running. Young comics keep you young. You're still old, but you know how to act your age comedically around them, if that makes sense. If you perform to your generation only, you grow old with them. The comics that I love growing up never stop going to the gym, which is going down to the comedy club and getting in front of 20-somethings despite the fact they're in your 50s like me, and learning how to get your 50-something-year-old ideas over to them. If you go down there in your 50s and try to act 20, that's going to be a train wreck. You got to understand that you're like their funny older relative. That's my uncle saying dumb stuff again. They asked about the evolution of Burr's act. I don't want to just be up there pointing my finger at the crowd the whole time. God knows I was guilty of that early in my career, but that's just where I was as a young man. I was lashing out at everything. As you get older, hopefully you realize that you bring some of the problems to the table, and maybe the way you handle things isn't the best way to do it. Being married and having kids and realizing that your behavior can affect these people you're living with in a positive way or negative way really makes you confront your flaws. God knows I have a bunch of them. A lot of things I used to believe, that women are difficult and blah, blah, blah. It was my issue of not understanding myself. Good follow-up. Does it make you uncomfortable that your past material lives online forever? Nah, not at all. I love when people bring that up, because I go, you were alive when I said that. You had 15 years to get offended. You're just getting around to it now? The sort of crap happened to comics I grew up watching. They did these jokes, and generally everybody laughed. Then the needle moves 20 years later, and the same people laughed at it act like they didn't. But the comedian gets frozen in time. All the comedian is showing you is where society was at the time. Hollywood in Toto asked, what on earth happened to Bill Burr? Subheader, the Boston native's counterculture jokes helped pave the way to superstardom. He wasn't conservative by any means, but his willingness to call out woke's insidious tentacles set him apart from the comedy mainstream. His 2019 Netflix special Paper Tiger confirmed it. He was part of a rebel comedy movement alongside Tim Dillon, Shane Gillis, Theo Vaughn, Tyler Fisher, Chrissy Mayer, and more. Earlier this year, Burr took a stupefying position on the California wildfires. More recently, Burr blasted billionaires in the most ignorant manner possible. They cite the line where Burr said, these effing billionaires, they need to be put down like effing rabid dogs. Toto writes, comedy works best when there's a kernel of truth at the center. Where's the truth in Burr's rant? For what it's worth, the capitalistic system that yields those evil billionaires has been pretty good to Burr. They get into Burr's comments on Luigi, Burr's comments on Elon. Toto writes, Burr's taking a hard left turn, no doubt. That's his prerogative. The problem is twofold. The country's veering to the right, following the excesses of progressive leadership. He finds himself both out of step and siding with a movement that has fundamentally lost its way. More importantly, is anything in his recent comments remotely funny? Angry? Yes. Ignorant? Sure. Ill-informed? Of course. Funny? Not so much. Guitar.com, your home for comedy news, had a minor spoiler for the special. A teaser clip shared to social media showed a snippet of Bill's Guitar Center segment. In the video, Burr says, I'll give you the number one place to see sad men, Guitar Center. Oh my God, one of the saddest places on earth. Failed struggling musicians behind the counter. A bunch of men in loveless marriages and divorces walking around looking at the guitars. Musicians are finding it funny. Gibson's Mark Agency replied to the clip on Instagram with a row of laughing emojis. Misha Mansour of Periphery commented, Jesus, he's going for the jugular. Questlove replied with a bunch of skull emojis. Blake Weiland of the Tone Mob podcast responded, the void desires custom shop guitars, and it must be satiated. Bill Burr, hilarious tonight. Other news, Nikki Glaser will return as host of the Golden Globes. No surprise there. There'd been a lot of rumors, and she did a great job. Why wouldn't you bring her back? She should just do that until they kick her out. It's a good gig, and she did well at it. Congratulations to Nikki Glaser. There's a new documentary about Marc Maron. It is called Are We Good?, directed by Stephen Feinartz. The Hollywood Reporter recaps, I guess spoilers here, towards the end of Maron's 23 special From Bleak to Dark. Maron tells the audience a high-wire joke he's been working on since his partner Lynn Shelton died in 2020. There are scenes of Maron workshopping the joke. The film chronicles the years in Maron's life after Shelton's death. It follows Marc as he returns to stand-up and uses stand-up to navigate the painful experience. The doc uses home videos, recent footage of Maron living his life or testing new bits, as well as interviews with friends and colleagues like John Mulaney. In the end, HBO asks Marc Maron for a special, and it boosts Maron's confidence. The Hollywood Reporter tells us the special makes Maron feel like he's arrived, and it becomes a place where his emotional and artistic lives meet honestly. Grab your phone. It's time for March college basketball. You know how that rolls. Yeah, I'm working from home. Yeah, I'm totally not watching the games. I'm totally working. Nothing beats March basketball. Bring the fun of a bracket to every game day by making entries on Underdog. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play it now in your state. Do you want to win up to 1,000 times your money? You can with Underdog. Who do you go for? Do you like the favorites, or do you like riding a no pun, one of those underdogs? You know, a 16, that's always fun. And it's always fun to have some extra interest in the game. Pick a player and go higher or lower on one of their stats, including points, assists, rebounds, and more. Underdog has all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. You can create entries with all basketball selections or mix and match across other sports. You can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn $1 into $1,000 just with your hoops knowledge. You've heard me talk about this. I'm in the comfy chair. I've got my phone. I'll put on a game. I pick a player. I go higher or lower. I think for basketball, I'm kind of a lower guy. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using the promo code DCN to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code DCN. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus credits instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus, Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus, Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Void where prohibited. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Underdog app, promo code DCN. Quick hit from Gossip Corner. The Statesman in Austin saw Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer at NADC Burger. Apparently some sort of burger joint that we're supposed to hit when we're down there. Never been there. Never been to Austin. Never mind the burger joint. Luckily, somebody had a camera out. Bert Kreischer says, "This is so good. This is so good." The chef says, "It's good with vodka, too. Actually, we've been talking about doing like a secret menu. Yeah, we could have a secret. Like, you want to turn this thing into 2 bears, 1 burger? We could spike it with little por osos. Should we do that?" Segura says, "Perfect. I love secret menus." Kreischer, "Yeah, you should." Chef, "We should do it. I'll let you know what happens." Joel McHale admitted he was an a-hole to reporters on the set of Community. Joel said the reporters would be like, "Such a great show, just so amazing." And it'd be this one thing if we were on a red carpet and they were like, "Here's this guy from this thing." But it was like, if you come to set, if you're sitting on a set, you should have like done some research. You should know what show this is. I've had reporters come back and be like, "Yeah, you really got me." And I was like, yeah, I probably should just enjoy the promotion, not call people out. All right, what happened with the Community movie? Is it ever coming out? Joel said, "Well, we got the money, which is one of the harder things to do. And everyone's in. That's the other. It's really coming down to schedules. And a script was written, so this is real. We just got to get those schedules together." He did give a major spoiler with a laugh. He said, "I'm not going to tell you anything about it. I'll just say everybody dies." He doesn't think Chevy will be part of this. And again, he's seen the script, so I guess Chevy's not. But Joel said, "I don't think he's allowed to. I don't think it would happen. I'm guessing if you asked him, he wouldn't be interested." Obviously, his unceremonious departure in season 4 pretty much did that in. And an interesting note about Daniel Sloss, he said he had to hire security when performing in the U.S., after the UK's Channel 4 Dispatches episode, Russell Brand in Plain Sight, disclosed allegations against Russell Brand. Sloss told Dispatches, according to comedy.co.uk, that claims that Brand was a predator were an open secret in the comedy industry. I've shared in the past, I worked with Russell Brand exactly once, and he was completely professional. I don't know what else happened in Mr. Brand's life, but I've also worked with Bill Cosby, who is completely professional, except for the Bill Cosby story that I'm not going to tell until he passes away. It's a good one. Trust me. And that is your awkward end to your comedy news for today. All right, Bill Burr, let's see what you got. See you tomorrow.
It is the world's most secretive election. When a pope dies, ancient traditions begin. A silver hammer, a destroyed ring, over 100 cardinals locked away from the world, choosing the next leader of 1 billion faithful. White smoke. The path to a new pope, from Calaroga Shark Media, wherever you get your podcasts.
If you're fascinated by UFOs, aliens, ghosts, demons, cryptid creatures like Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and Mothman, then I have the show for you. The Paranormal 60 with Dave Schrader. Each week, we investigate different claims of the supernatural and try to shed light into the darkness, bringing you the top guests and experts from around the world. Enter the fray. Then join me, Dave Schrader, your host, as we investigate all aspects and claims of the supernatural and paranormal. Listen on all of your favorite podcast platforms: Good Pods, TuneIn, Pocket Casts, Deezer, Player FM, Amazon Music, Audible, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. The answers to life's biggest questions and miracles and mysteries awaits you. So join me each week, 2 brand new episodes of the best in paranormal podcasting, The Paranormal 60 with Dave Schrader.